Hey everybody, how you doing? Doug Barry here. I appreciate you being with me. We are going live on multiple channels right now at the same time. We've got a exciting event that we're starting right now on this day, January 31st, Feast of St. John Bosco. For those of you who are familiar with that saint, tremendous saint, died in 1888. He's patron saint of young people. Just did amazing things though as a saint. And today is his feast day, January 31st. He was given incredible dreams, supernatural dreams that God blessed him with. Talked a lot about things like spiritual battle, spiritual warfare. And that's something that we, always addressed, over the years. I've done this for many, many years. In the 34 or so years that I have been, 1 second, please, here. We've got a message coming in. Okay. Okay, it looks like I am live now. We're trying a new platform here, new software to work on multiple channels at the same time. So forgive us for any technical difficulties if you're being caught up in the technical difficulties that we're in the thick of right now. So anyway, what I was saying though, before I think I missed out on that opening, is there's a lot happening in the world. Want to share with you some exciting things happening right now, especially on this particular day, January 31st, the Feast of St. Don Bosco. Those of you who are familiar with Don Bosco, patron saint of youth, lived many, many years ago, died in 1888. He's a patron saint of young people, but he also did a lot of tremendous evangelization, and he did a lot to remind us of the seriousness of the spiritual battle. He had many supernatural dreams that God gave him. And in these supernatural dreams, God revealed a lot of very, very powerful things about the spiritual battle, of course, and the hope and the grace of God bringing light to the world and to our souls. And with that in mind, that's one of the reasons I started doing the work that I did 41 years or so ago, about 18 years old, when I started working in Wednesday evening CCD groups, evangelization, religious ed, and then eventually started running a high school youth group. And then as time went by, started a ministry 3-4 years ago called Radix. Radix is a Latin word. It means root, get to the root of something. Okay, fast forward. Now, here we are in 2024. So 40 plus years, almost 41 years of doing this type of work, evangelizing, and trying to help people be better prepared and deal with the battles that are out there. Now, one of the things that we always like to talk about and address when it comes to the spiritual warfare, spiritual battles that we engage in, is the reality that if we lose the interior battle, we will always deal with it in the exterior. We will deal with it in a natural, physical way. So you lose that battle inside when it comes to, for example, anger or lust or greed or sloth, any of the 7 deadly sins, gluttony even, right? Pride, then it can manifest in physical, natural ways. So that's part of the spiritual battle. And we see it in our world a lot, right? We see it in our world all the time where we know that there are things going on in the world where people are losing that interior battle and it's coming out in natural ways. Okay, so I say all that because it plays into what we're talking about tonight. I want to talk to you about something we have special going on right now at BRC is we've got this massive discount on our BREP course. BREP is BREP, stands for Be Ready Emergency Preparedness Course. Now, the BREP course is about helping to be prepared body, mind, and soul. And we focus on 5 main categories: food, water, shelter, medical, and defense. But everything is rooted in the spiritual aspect. Now, look what happened on October 7th. Let's jump into that. October 7th, what happened? In Israel, we had Hamas, people who clearly are not winning the spiritual battle. They invade Israel and they slaughter, they murder, they do horrible things. We don't have to go into the detail. If you've been paying attention to the news, you know it. Israel's not responding. A war has broken out and it's escalating. So right now you've got a lot of bad actors and you've got a lot of corruption. You've got it on all sides, to be honest with you. We can't necessarily trust all the governments and everybody in those governments, but we do know that this battle is real. And it's real because ultimately there's a spiritual aspect to this, is that the devil wants to try to destroy, cause chaos, cause war. And it happens in families, it happens in countries. We see something like that happening at the border right now here in Texas. In Texas right now, we're dealing with, I'm in Texas, all right, further up north. We are dealing with a border that is wide open. It's affecting the whole country. It's not just Texas though, all right? Anybody who pays attention, Texas, Arizona, New Mexico, California, that whole border down there is open. There's a lot of struggle going on. It has been for many years now. It's gotten worse in the last 3.5, 4 years. All right, but what we're seeing is 3.5 years or so, we're seeing now Governor Abbott, for example, takes charge, calls in the National Guard. 25 or so states agree to support Governor Abbott in this, taking charge with helping by sending National Guard troops down to Texas. Now, the federal government, okay, Biden administration, all, they're fighting back and they're threatening in this way and that. And now you've got a trucker convoy of thousands of vehicles, not just trucks, headed down to Texas border, and they're going to do rallies in Texas, Arizona, and California, I believe, are the 3 locations coming up in the next few days. So you've got thousands of vehicles, tens of thousands of people coming in to basically peacefully protest and say, we've got to protect our country. Why? Because there are threats. There are bad actors again. There are people who want to use that border to come to the country. And many of them might be seeking a good home, a free country. And America's got a lot of great blessings to it, there's no doubt. But there are bad people in there as well. People who shout things like death to America. People who come from terrorist groups over in the Middle East. All right, we've got Chinese nationals coming in. Now, speaking of a threat of China, if you're not paying attention to the news, today, at this moment, as I record this, or we go live actually on this, today, earlier, we had the head of the FBI, Christopher Wray, speaking to senators. It was a live event that took place, talking about how China wants to wreak havoc. These are his words, wreak havoc, sow panic in our society. Societal panic, I think were the words he used, through cyber attacks. They are pointing out that they have been working on this for quite some time and have found that China, and this is not just China, they have found evidence of Russia and Iranian groups as well, hacking into our computers, installing malware, planting seeds, so to speak, of computer invasion, if you will. Now, this is all for the purpose of creating societal panic, wreak havoc, shut down power grid, affect our water supply. This is not something that is just being talked about. It's not a conspiracy theory. They're saying that they have found, he says in the report, if you watch the video on this, you can find it. It's all over the place right now. It's out there on the internet. He says that they had found hundreds of routers that had been infected in various critical infrastructure areas, not just your router or mine in our homes. We're talking about on a whole nother level. Again, power grid, water supply, transportation situations. This is real and it is happening right now. Now, how grave it can become, that isn't known. He made this one statement in the speech, which really stood out to me. He said, if you took all of our FBI agents who were involved in cyber security and you stack them against what China's using, he said, we are outnumbered 50-1. In other words, China is not wasting time. They're not holding back. They're making no bones about this. They're doing everything they can to have this upper hand in this cyber warfare battle that we're in the thick of right now. And he said to the senators, and this has all again happened this morning, he said, understand this will have real human consequences. Now, what does that mean? Break it down. Very simple. We know what happens if the power goes out. Right now, I'm talking to you through the internet. It's a great gift. It's a great gift we have. If this just gets shut down and we don't have this kind of access, think of how many businesses that live their lives only on the internet. We seek our information on the internet, right? We seek how to fix this and do this and repair that, do DIY stuff, right? Do it yourself. We seek this all over. If that internet gets shut down, if the power gets shut down, if let's say our hospitals are damaged through some sort of cyber attack, which has happened, a recent healthcare company affecting over 30 hospitals in 6 different states, this happened several months ago, was affected by cyber attack that lasted a couple of weeks at least, and tens of thousands of patients were drastically hampered through this cyber attack. The hospitals couldn't take on any more patients. I know this from a friend who works in the hospital industry. He was told directly by someone in the upper management stating what had happened. It was a cyber attack. Now, this doesn't make the news very often, or we hear about Western Pennsylvania where water treatment plants were hit, okay? And they came out and said, well, fortunately, it didn't affect the water that went to people's homes, but they did admit that China was able to get malware into the system. China or Iran, I forget which one took on that one. Here's my point behind this. There are human consequences to the bad actors of people who cooperate with evil. What are we going to do about it? Now, for 41 years almost now, I've been evangelizing and talking about the need to be spiritually prepared. But in the last, 15 or so, 20 or so years, I've really moved it to even the natural side. Why? Because in the scriptures, we hear about corporal works of mercy and spiritual works of mercy. Spiritual and corporal works of mercy. Spiritually, we're supposed to admonish the sinner, instruct the ignorant, counsel the doubtful, comfort the sorrowful, bear wrongs patiently, forgive all offenses, and pray for the living and the dead. But the corporal side, the physical side that we are responsible for, that Matthew chapter 25 says we're going to be actually Goats or sheep, when the Son of Man comes in the glory of all the angels, sits on his throne, separates the sheep from the goats. Goats go to hell, sheep go to heaven. Why? When I was hungry, you fed me or you didn't. When I was thirsty, you gave me drink or you didn't. When I was naked, needed shelter, did you clothe me? Did you care for me? In other words, corporal, physical works of mercy. We have a responsibility to give drink to the thirsty, feed the hungry, clothe the naked, shelter the homeless, care for the sick, visit the imprisoned, and bury the dead. The responsibility that we have in God's eyes to be ready to care for each other in these natural ways has everything to do with our own salvation. Now, these are things that I really want to encourage you to think about. Think very seriously about. What steps are we taking right now on a day-to-day basis? Give money to a food bank or food to a food bank. That's great. How about a crisis pregnancy center? Awesome. Prison ministry? Excellent. Great things. These are all good things. Need to be doing. But in a crisis situation, are we prepared for that? To even take care of our own family? Food, water, shelter, medical, and defense. So there's the 5 main categories that we offer in the BREP course. And the BREP course is on sale. It's great at 50% off. It's ultimately what it is. Normally $397. It's on sale for $197 right now. You sign up for that. You'll have it as long as you are connected. You're going to get free updates on this as well. All right. The updates that we put into this, and we put a lot of them in it. There's constantly, we're constantly adding new updates to this. We're bringing up regular upgrades to different things regarding equipment, materials, ideas on what to do. This is a very, very important piece. And you also have, the fact that there are other people involved in BREP that allow you to interact through Circle Community, which gives you an opportunity to share information with many of the people, not just in the United States, but around the world. We have some from Canada, Australia, Austria, Scotland, Ireland. There are so many places where people are seeing the signs of our times and want to be better prepared in those key areas. All right, here's a couple things, a couple pointers I want to encourage you with. First of all, never let your gas tank. This is stuff we put in the BREP course, and I want to share a couple things with you right now, give you an idea what's in the BREP course and why it's so important to have something like this. Even if you don't buy the BREP course, take these steps seriously. They're important and they're helpful. Okay. First, gas tank. Never let your gas tank get below, say, half. Consider half the new empty. Why? Because if there's a crisis situation and for some reason gas stations are shut down, or maybe the transaction, the ability to transact at a gas station with a debit card, and maybe you don't have cash, maybe they're not taking cash, maybe you just can't get gas. For some reason, could be a cyber attack. Very easily, they can shut all this down. Do you have enough gas in your gas tank to get reasonably to another location? All right. And so that idea of having at least half a tank at all times is a great way to basically make sure that you're covered, you're protected, and not just for you, but for your loved ones. Because if you've got friends and family in that car with you, you've got children, you've got a pregnant wife, you've got elderly, you've got to take care of multiple people. Are you prepared to do that by having enough fuel in your gas tank? I treat my vehicle as 3/4. 3/4 is pretty much empty, and I will top it off regularly. Okay. Now that seems extreme for some people, but I've almost always got at least 3/4 of a tank in my vehicle. I also keep things in my vehicle, which I'm going to encourage you to do the same thing here, especially in light of everything that we're talking about. FBI is coming out telling us that there's a serious threat of cyber attacks that could create societal panic. And those are his words. Wreak havoc, his words. Not trying to just throw fear at you here. This is reality check. Because in all honesty, I hear that, and am I nervous about it? Well, yeah, because I have loved ones out there. I don't want to have to suffer through this. I don't want to suffer through it either. But my gas tank's got gas in it, and I've got items in my vehicle. And if my vehicle gets shut down completely and I got to walk, I've got a bug out bag or a go bag, an emergency bag with items in it that allow me to get from A to B and get moving. What do we put in that bag? This is stuff we talk about in the BREP course. We have some of this information on our BRC YouTube channel. You can go to BR Coalition, brcoalition.com for more information on this, to sign up for the discount price that we have right now on this course, $197, great sale, greater than 50% off. We have that, and we also have, again, the Circle Community interaction that people have. They can talk with each other about these things, but we have basically lists that you can go through to get ideas on what to put in your bug out bag. Now, the BREP course goes much more into detail. We have videos on this. We have over 4 to 5 hours of video with pointing out all of this. We have links in the course where you can click on and go right to a location to get yourself the materials that are going to help you get through any kind of a crisis, at least give you a good starting point. For example, having a water filter purifier in your car. Why in your car? Because if you're stranded somewhere, you can't get home, you don't have a lot of water, but you can get to water, a river, a stream, something of that nature. Something as simple as this one here. It's made by Lifesaver. I love it. It's called the Wayfarer. It's a great little version that they have. They can use it for hiking and camping if you want, but it's pump action right here. Pump turns different directions. There's a couple different hoses that come in this pouch here. One, it's called the scavenger hose, is going to come out the bottom, and it's going to actually drop into the water. And then you're going to have one that shoots at the top here, pull this little plug off right here, and that's going to be your clean water that comes out. This will purify. And when I say purify, understand the difference between filter and purify. Filter gets the junk out of the water, but not necessarily bacteria or viruses or any of those types of pollutants or dangerous things that can get into the water. That's what a purifier does. So filtering it gets a lot of the sediment and the garbage out. Purifying it makes it able to be consumed. You want to be able to drink that water. That's what something like this does. It purifies. Okay, makes it drinkable. You can drop the scavenger hose. It's about a 5-foot long hose. Drop it into a river or a lake or a stream, and you can pump it right out the other hose, and you can fill up bottles, cans, whatever you need to with it. Okay, having something like this in your vehicle is not a bad idea. You can get different versions, different sizes. All of this we lay out in the BREP course. Again, go on out there, check out brcoalition.com. Go out, take a look at it. But share this information with others too. Think about everybody that you love out there. Share that information about the director of the FBI speaking before the Senate today, telling them, speaking for a group of senators, telling them that China wishes to wreak havoc and cause societal panic in America. Not to mention, Russia has been caught in our system as well, in our different infrastructures, and Iran has as well. Iran also threatening the U.S. because of the attack that happened on the base that killed 3 service personnel recently, and the U.S. said they will respond decisively. Well, what does decisively mean? Well, then Iran comes back and says, oh yeah, you do that, we're going to step it up then too. This is not looking necessarily very good. But we don't have to be scared. We don't have to live in anxiety over this. I'm adamant about one key thing, and I talk about this through the BREP course and through all that we do with BR Coalition. There's a difference between anxiety and urgency. Being urgent about something is responsible. An urgent response that's mature, that's measured, that's basically educated. Okay, you're involved in what we like to refer to in BRC, at BR Coalition here, and through BREP, we refer to as strategic purchases. Making sure that you purchase the right items, the good items that are going to help you when it comes to dealing with, serious situations. For example, a good survival knife. Not because it's necessarily to be used as a weapon, it can be, but a survival knife can help you in multiple scenarios, in a variety of ways. But understanding what a good metal, what is good metal for a blade for a survival knife, what's full tang, type, whatever it might be. We want to break these things down for you, and give you the information you need so you can make good strategic purchases, not waste your money, not spin your wheels in the mud. That's what a lot of people do when it comes to prepping. You can go out on YouTube and Rumble and other channels, and you can do a search for prepping videos, and you can find all kinds of them out there. There's a lot of good stuff out there, but it takes time. If you want to do that, fine, do that. The BREP course is going to get you that information like that. It's going to get you to it immediately. And the links that are on there, the hot links that take you to the items, we've either researched them or used them ourselves, such as, again, water purifiers like the one here, the Wayfarer, made by Lifesaver. That's the one I recommend. I love it. But there are many others out there. There's LifeStraw, there's Sawyer, and so forth. We talk about these and give you some good ideas, not to mention things such as I mentioned, what to put in a bug-out bag, what to have ready to go for that immediate sort of situation. We like to focus on 4 main tiers. One is of the 5 categories: food, water, shelter, medical, and defense. When I say defense, yes, we're talking about even things like self-defense, firearms, basic understanding of these things. Some are very advanced in understanding that. Many, it's an introduction to them. We want to give you the basics so you can understand it, be comfortable enough with it, and understand really the ins and outs of getting started in even firearms. So we address that as well. And everything, by the way, is through what the Catholic faith teaches regarding what is morally just, morally legitimate when it comes to even taking up arms against an aggressor, which is talked about in the Catechism of the Catholic Church, and we talk about that in the course. But there are 4 main tiers. Being prepared for 3 days. First of all, do you have at least 3 days of food, water, shelter, medical, and defense? That's, for example, what a bug-out bag or a go bag is going to help you with. But there are things you have in your home too, because you might have to bug in, which is what you really want to do. I have all my equipment mainly here in my home. I don't want to have to bug out. I'd rather stay here and use it. But having 3 days worth minimum, then we get to 3 weeks worth. Then we build up to the 3 weeks worth. So if things really get nasty for a while, and you will see societal panic, you will see havoc in the country if we go 3 weeks, if we even go a week without food, water, shelter, with power grid goes down, or hospitals are hampered, or supply lines are cut to grocery stores. The average grocery store has about 3 days worth of food on the shelves under normal use when the trucks are showing up. If the trucks were to stop, I mean, you'd have about 3 days of normal use and the shelves would be clear. In a panic situation, if you've ever seen, for example, in a hurricane environment, when a hurricane's coming in and people have to get ready, they'll clear those shelves out in hours. So we like to encourage you 4 tiers. 1 is 3 days worth of food, water, shelter, medical, and defense. 2 is 3 weeks, right? 3 would be 3 months. And then fourth tier would be a year plus. In other words, how do we make it more sustainable for long term? How do we sustain growing food? How do we work on working with community to raise cattle, grow gardens, process chickens, all of those pieces, so that we can sustain it? Because if we have a societal breakdown of some sort that gets really bad, and it could, especially in a war. Ukraine has been at war now for almost 2 years. And you consider when something like that hits, when you have societal breakdown, when you have some sort of real serious malfunction in the structure and the infrastructure of a society, you can find that things can change very quickly and they can change very long term. So again, the 4 tiers, having food, water, shelter, medical, and defense, those 5 items for 3 days, 3 weeks, 3 months, and a year plus. We break all of that down in the BREP course. It's going to give you an enormous amount of information to get started right off the bat, and you can start tonight. If you go out, brcoalition.com, sign up tonight, and you get yourself on board with it, you can start looking at these things right this moment. All right. Again, the links are all there to find out all the basics, from water purifiers to different ideas of storing food, different containers to store water, different things to add to water in order to make water drinkable even 5, 6, 7 years down the road, different things like this. Self-defense measures, medical things, how to deal with even lacerations or a bullet wound, different things to have in an emergency medical kit, which I have my bug out bag in my vehicle, which has a variety of things in it. And I have a med kit in there, but then I also have another emergency med kit just on the back seat, just attached to the back seat of my vehicle. It's a quick one. I can just rip it right off, open it up, and I've got a tourniquet in there. I've got some quick clot gauze, and I've got something as simple as a battle bandage or an Israeli bandage. It's a very particular bandage with a pressure pad and a plastic hook to it, so you can pull back and make it a pressure bandage. Just basic things, as well as a boo-boo kit, which is band-aids and triple antibiotic cream and so forth. Having these items ready to go at a moment's notice can actually help somebody find comfort, but it can also be life and death depending upon the circumstances. So we go through this in the BREP course and help you get ready for that. You want to know why a lot of people don't do these things? A lot of people don't do these things because they don't know where to start. A lot of people don't take the steps to create the bug out bag or the med kit or the 3 days, 3 week, 3 months, 1 year plus of those 4 tiers we talked about. The reason they don't is they just don't know where to begin. And then we fall into this Christian mindset for some that is so over spiritualized. And what I mean by that is they'll say, well, we're just going to trust God. And I have nothing wrong with trusting God. I trust him. Obviously, I mean, my shrine back here, I pray. I ask the Blessed Mother's help every day. I go to adoration regularly. I go to confession every couple of weeks normally. I trust God in these things, but I also know he put a brain between the ears that I have to use. I have to use it on a day-to-day basis anyway. I got to pay my mortgage, right? I got to make sure that if I have a bug bite that's gets infected, in some way, I've got to medically take care of it. If I have a cavity, I have to go to the dentist. If your kid falls or breaks his arm, you're not going to just pray over the kid and expect God to heal the arm. You take the kid to the doctor. So when it comes to a crisis situation, same concept. Yes, I trust God. Yes, I trust that he will step up, but I also trust that God will ask me to step up and do my part with the brain that he gave me and the skills and talents that I can have access to. The BREP course addresses, again, those 5 key categories: how to help you deal with food and water, shelter, medical and defense, how to build community, how to have a secondary location shelter-wise. If my home is compromised, where do I go after this? Have I started to work with people in advance, building those relationships and communicating with them so that they know they can come here or I can go there if there's a crisis situation? Having those conversations in advance. Another thing we encourage through BREP, and we break all this down in the course, again, go to brcoalition.com, check it out, is we talk about making sure that you have the communication with your loved ones before communications would be taken down. And that is an area that they have found malware already involved in, things that can affect our communication. And I've heard warnings from people that are in those departments, so to speak, that monitor and pay attention to these things. And they've told me you can expect communications to be hampered, to be struck hard in some way in the not too distant future. Is that months, weeks, years? No one knows for sure. But we do know that things look more volatile now than they have. And I don't want to scare anybody into something. I want to bring the truth, shed light on the truth so that we can make a reasonable, practical, prayerful, logical decision. But I think one thing is key here, and that is it takes time to train. It takes time to prepare. It takes time to learn. Just like it takes time to find an item that you want, order it, and have it shipped to your house. Sure, Amazon or some of these services can do it in 24 to 48 hours, but sometimes it takes a little longer than that. And when you're looking at things that you need to do to shore up your home to protect you and your loved ones, it takes a little more time. Just like it takes time to get in shape. And that's something we encourage through BREP is exercise, work out, eat better, improve your nutrition, improve your energy, make sure that you can be more mobile. Mobility can equal survivability, just like adaptability can equal survivability. Learning how to adapt, learning how to look at a situation and see, well, what do I have in my bag of tools based on what I'm dealing with? How do I adapt so I can figure out how to survive this and even thrive in this? That's what we talk about and teach in BREP. How do we have that mindset that says, I solve problems, and not just for me, but for those that God has entrusted in my care? And that's a key thing to remember, is that all of us have somebody that God has entrusted to our care. And it's really important for us to remember that we have a responsibility, not just to ourselves, but to others. And so when I think about those that God has given to me that I need to watch out for, and maybe it's someone I don't even know yet. Maybe in a crisis situation, someone's going to show up at my door, and I'm going to discern and pray and kind of vet the situation and see whether or not I should bring him into my camp. And what I mean by that is you can't just accept anybody and everybody in. You've got to look at the situation, assess the situation, make sure you've got the right security in place, because you have a responsibility to care for yourself and your loved ones, and just letting anybody in might not be the right move. Well, those are things that have to be thought about in advance. We talk about these things in BREP. The Be Ready Emergency Preparedness course is very thorough in all these areas. We try to look at this through the moral lens of what the church teaches. What does God want us to do? He doesn't want us just to lay down and accept anything and everybody. Sometimes we've got to be very wise, clever as serpents, gentle as a dove, and make sure that we're making the right choices. brcoalition.com is the website to go to. Again, there are 5 main things that we all need every day of our lives: food, water, shelter, medical care, even though we don't think about that. If there's an accident, we want to know we have access to medical care. So every day of our lives, we'd like to know that we could call 911 and there would be help. We'd like to know that there's an urgent care facility or an ER somewhere down the street, or that we have a med kit at home that can deal with even a serious cut. But we all need some sort of medical access every day. It's just good to have, especially when you have kids, right? They're going to get hurt. We get hurt, Not to mention then, though, we also have to think about defense, the defensive measures. So food, water, shelter, medical, and defense. We need these defensive measures. What do I mean by that? You want to know that if there's a break-in your house, you call 911, someone's going to come and help. But we also should be the first responder in that situation and make sure we have an idea what to do if someone breaks into the house. You can guarantee this because it happens over and over again historically, anywhere in the world. When you have societal breakdown, when you have some sort of serious glitch in infrastructure, you will find bad actors, unholy people who cooperate with evil, you name it, whatever you want to call it, selfish, greedy individuals who will take advantage of those situations. You want to question that at all? Look up, I think it was July 13th, 1977. I know it was the summer of 1977 in New York City when the power went out. It went out for 25 hours. And in that time, looting was rampant. Fires, dozens and dozens of fires were started all over town. People were beat up. I'm sure there was sexual assault, violence, you name it. All happened in 25 hours. These things will happen. I hope and pray they don't. But I think they're going to. Again, it's not doom and gloom. It's be ready. It's not anxiety. It's urgency. Fire and rescue, law enforcement, military, those men and women train. They train in an urgent way that if they get that call, they can move fast. They're not panicky. They're not scared to death. Maybe a little bit of fear in there. But if they're trained well and they have the right equipment, the right gear, and the right community working with them, they go at the crisis, whatever the phone call is, whatever the emergency is, they go at the crisis with a sense of urgency and a sense of purpose and a sense of calm because they know what to do, because they put things in place before the crisis happens. That's what this boils down to. BREP is a great way, the BREP course, Be Ready Emergency Preparedness course, is a great way to have many things in place, from building community, learning how to have the right shoes in your car. And I mean that. I've heard this from retired CIA agents on video to friends of mine who've worked, in military for over 30 years. Have the right kind of footwear accessible all the time. So even if you're driving to church or work and you have open-toed shoes, you got your dress shoes on, you got your nice, shiny, slick-looking shoes on, if there's a crisis and you got to walk any kind of a distance or you got bad inclement weather and you have no other shoes to put on, you are severely, severely hampered. And that could mean life and death. And that's not a joke. So you want to have the right kinds of footwear, either on your feet at all times or accessible, meaning in your trunk, in your car, wherever. You want to have it available. We talk about this in BREP. That and many, many other things, from how to change a tire, jumpstart a battery. Well, those are good things you should know anyway. But when it comes to crisis situations, how do we put things in place beforehand so that if and when it happens, any kind of crisis, anything, natural disaster to man-made problem, if and when it happens, we're better prepared. I'm going to wrap this up in just a moment. Again, encourage you to go to brcoalition.com. It's on sale for right now. It's going to be on for at least a week. We haven't decided for sure. We'll let you know as time goes by. But get out there now. $197 is the price on it. You sign up for this, you're going to have it for life. And any and all upgrades that come out on it, you're going to get free. All right. And we have new stuff coming up all the time. So I encourage you to go out brcoalition.com and give this a shot. There's money back guarantee on this, by the way. So go give it a shot. Go to brcoalition.com. Look it up. Look it over. Say that prayer and get going on something. And BREP is a great way to get going and make sure you're taking the steps to be better prepared. Remember this, then I'll wrap this up. We are all going to be facing crisis in our lives. We do. It could be anything. All kinds of crisis we'll have to deal with. If you have no plan of action in the face of a crisis, it's pretty scary and feels pretty hopeless. Right? If you're in a situation where you just don't know what to do, no plan of what to do, and something is really hitting you hard, hammering you hard, that's a pretty scary moment for a lot of people. But when there is a plan of action in the face of a crisis, you have hope. That's what we need. And we need to be instruments of hope to one another. We have to be instruments of hope to those that God entrusts to our care. And just in this world alone, we need to be instruments of hope. So I encourage you, have a plan of action. And when it comes to what we see, whether it's the wars, whether it's the border, whether it's something what the director of the FBI, Christopher Wray, comes out and talks about China, what they want to do, and the unbelievable fragile nature of our society and our world, we don't have to settle for just living in that kind of fear. Being better prepared actually gives you a sense of peace because it's a plan of action that brings hope. And that's what we want to do with Be Our Coalition, is give you something that gives you hope. I know there are people, this will be the last thing I say. There are people out there that are very nervous about what's going on in the world right now. I understand it. It weighs heavy on me too. I check the news all the time because this is what I do, on my day-to-day basis to try to encourage people with evangelization, let alone through Be Our Coalition and so forth. I know there are people out there that are very, very nervous about what's happening. I don't know who they all are. Maybe you know some, but the ones that I do know, I want to encourage them to take steps to be better prepared. So share this information with others. Let other people know that there's actually a course out there called BREP, Be Ready Emergency Preparedness Course. And this course is designed to help people find hope and peace and understand the difference between anxiety and urgency. So let's be instruments to share this information with others as well. And especially right now, it's on sale. Great opportunity to get in on it and start working towards being better prepared. If and when something happens, one of the worst things we can do is say, yeah, I thought something could have, but you know what? I didn't take the steps to be ready for it. It's always better to have a plan and hope you never have to put it into action than to have something bad happen and have no plan on how to deal with it. So, brcoalition.com, $197 right now. It's on sale. Get out there, sign up for it, give it a shot. Money back guarantee. 5 key areas: food, water, shelter, medical, and defense. 4 main tiers: 3 days preparation, 3 weeks preparation, 3 months preparation, 1 year plus preparation. Build community. Have an idea what it means to look at this through the lens of what a good Christian perspective is, so that we realize that we're not built by God to just accept defeat. We're built by God, as St. John Paul II says, with an indomitable human spirit, that spirit to not be dominated. So let's get out there and get this done. All right, that's it for me. I want to thank you all for joining me. Remember, share this information with others. God bless and strengthen you in whatever's coming, whatever we have to deal with on any given moment, whether it's a flat tire to war, hope and pray not, but whatever it might be. God bless and strengthen you in the fight. Look forward to seeing you all again real soon. Take care.